evening, everyone. Welcome into the Golfing Dads. Dave, how we doing today?
It's your favorite two golfing dads here tonight.
That's true. We cut some of the fat
Cheers.
this week. Cheers.
I'm pleasantly plump.
All right. There has been a lot going on in the golfing world. We are getting ready for the PGA show. We have been doing our PGA preview leading up to the PGA show, which is next Tuesday. A week from today, we will be at the PGA show. Well, one of us will. The other one is sitting there trying to figure out his headset. But you'll be playing golf.
My volume was off.
we did have plans to have another preview of the PGA show this week, but two things happened this week. One, they had other obligations that came up that they had to go to. And two, the PGA dropped a bombshell on us that we figured we need to talk about.
Is it the PGA? Well, yeah, the PGA drops a bomb, but it's more like Brooks dropping a bombshell.
Well, Brooks dropped this bombshell a few weeks back and said that he was leaving LIV and that he was stepping away for family reasons and that he didn't want to be on the tour anymore. So you kind of knew this was coming. But the ball then was in the PGA's court. And they responded in, I got to say, I think the best way possible. I don't know how they could have done this better.
No, I think it's puts a precedent out there. Let's run down what the PGA put out there for the conditions of him coming back.
So for those of you who don't know, Brooks Koepka left LIV and was saying that he didn't want to be on the LIV tour anymore. And that really opened the door for the PGA to say, hey, we need to have some kind of guidelines to let former players back on to the PGA Tour, because that was the whole stipulation. When this first happened, a lot of PGA players were very bitter and angry towards the people that left and thought like, oh, they shouldn't come back. There has to be all of these stipulations. But a few years have passed now. And time heals all wounds. And now we've gotten to the reality of things. And this is the first really big name that has left LIV that really wants to come back to the PGA Tour. So I think the PGA Tour took this opportunity to say, hey, we're going to give you a one-time opportunity and we're going to set some stipulations behind it. So they saw the door open when Brooks came back. And they realized they don't just want to open the door for Brooks. They want to open the door for other LIV golfers that were former PGA players to come back. So, like you asked, Dave, here are the stipulations.
It is a very small group of former PGA players that they open the window to.
It is, and I'm going to go over that. So here are the stipulations that you must meet for this window. Number one, you must have won the Players' Championship or a major from 2022 to today. So that's an interesting one because that leaves a certain major winner of the PGA Championship in 2021 out of that conversation in Phil Mickelson.
And I'll get to that point in a second. Yeah.
We will get to that. Number two, the window for this application is January 12th, when this announcement was made, to February 2nd. And that window is very specific because February 3rd is the start of the first LIV event in Saudi Arabia. And it's the start of the waste management on the PGA Tour. So players must also play a minimum or commit to a minimum of 15 events throughout the year. In these 15 events, you are added to an event and it does not take away a spot from another PGA player or up-and-coming player on the tour. It would actually add maybe extra spots to even out groupings. So it actually helps out players. You must qualify for signature events in the structure of the Aon Next 10, and you cannot take a sponsor's exemption into one of the signature events. You do receive what is left on any exemptions you get from the majors that you won. So if you had a 5-year exemption into something and there's 2 years left on that exemption, you have those 2 years left. It's almost like a used car deal, to be honest with you.
It's the warranty.
The biggest one that I think is a really good one because it does address the, hey, you took a lot of money to go over there and we don't want you taking money from people back on the PGA Tour right away. You have to commit to coming back. You are foregoing your eligibility for the profit sharing that will be growing over the next few years for 5 years. So for the first 5 years you are back on the PGA Tour, you are not eligible for the profit sharing. What that could relate to is, in Brooks Koepka's position, is $50 to $85 million over that 5-year span, and that's a lot of money. But when you look at it, he took a lot of money to go over to LIV, so I think that'll balance itself out. So these are just some of the stipulations that are out there. So Dave, let's go back and talk about the first one there. They only opened this window for a small amount of LIV players.
And we'll name them because it's out there in the media. It's Bryson, Jon Rahm, and Cam Smith. Those are the only 3
Plus
players
Brooks,
that
obviously,
and Brooks that qualify for this exemption as winners. I think 2022 is important because they're not backdating it past that, because 2022 is when LIV kicked off. That was their inaugural season. That's when it kicked off. Yes, we all, Phil winning the PGA in 2021 as, the oldest person to win a major. He wasn't part of LIV officially at that point in time. So they're, they picked this date not necessarily to hamper Phil's ability to come back, but because this is when LIV officially kicked off, and that is the correct political way to say it.
Now, we all know, and we're all going to stipulate here, I think and I know other people on this show that aren't here today also think this, and Dave, you probably think this too. You're going to give the political answer, which I appreciate, but this is also a jab saying, hey, Phil, you were one of the people that tried to pull people away and tear people away from the PGA Tour to go to the LIV Tour. And one of those people was Bryson. Another one of those people was Jon Rahm that you eventually got later on. So I think this is the PGA Tour saying, hey, Phil, we don't want you back. So we're not going to make this as you've ever won a major. We're going to make this, like you said, politically. This is when LIV started. So 2022 is when we're starting this exemption. Because Cam Smith was one of those that he played in the Open Championship, won it, and then left for LIV. But that was in
the next week. Yeah.
So they're looking at players that I think had that impact on LIV, because LIV always says they have the best players out there, the best players in the world, which, funny enough, a person on Instagram posted the other day, they showed the PGA's statement and LIV's statement, and they both say the exact same thing. And this is what happens when you let AI write your public releases and don't check against other things. But I think this is hey, we're going to let these players back in on this one-time exemption, because the other thing they did say, and Dave, you kind of said a precedent, they said this does not set a precedent for future openings to come back to the PGA Tour. So this will not, they might not have a better shot than they have right now for these 4 players.
Yeah. And I think, we all know Brooks was in a much different place, state, mental, physical, health-wise, when he left the PGA Tour for LIV. And it was a completely different grind for him. We've all watched Full Swing. We all know he was on that inaugural season there, and the health struggles he talked about with his knees and his legs, and but he was, out of everybody, he was always more one of the boys with the PGA group than I think he was with the LIV guys. He and Bryson mended the fences and but I always felt like if you were at a restaurant and you walked in and you saw a group of players sitting down and Brooks happened to walk into that same restaurant, he would be the one invited over to the table to have a drink, more so than Jon Rahm or Cam Smith or Phil Mickelson or HV3 or one of these guys. Brooks always kind of, to me at least, lent himself to still being one of the boys within the PGA circle.
Well, and I think part of that has to do with I don't think Brooks ever liked the team aspect that Liv kind of leaned into. I said they
Liv
should
has
lean
a
into
team
it more.
aspect.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
thought they were single.
But
I thought they were singles.
they don't know what they are, but they do have the team aspect over there. And I give them the credit for that, but that's not his
No.
way of playing golf. He is about himself and playing as an individual. But in that sense, he does like the team aspect of the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup. And he was the first player that, when all this happened, that from Liv was allowed to play on a Ryder Cup team, was selected. And I think that says a lot that he accepted that, and he didn't make it about Liv. He didn't make it about anything else. He made it about playing for Team USA. So to your point, Dave, he has kept those fences. He didn't burn the bridges.
Yeah.
He kept those bridges alive. But I do think he has to mend some fences when he comes back because he did leave. But as you
Yeah.
said in the Full Swing episode, he talked about the reason he left was he was having some medical issues. He wasn't able to perform the way he had when he won all those championships in the past. But he brought himself back to great golfing form and has been great both on
Mhm.
Live and when he's played in the major events. He has shown up to even winning one again. So I think he's ready to come back. And I think the PGA saw this as a great opportunity to give people a quick way to come back that also appeases to the players because all the players council had to vote on this. They had
Yeah.
to agree to these stipulations and say, okay, we agree to these, and if they accept them, they can come back.
And we talk about, we got into the money aspect that they're going to miss out for, 5 years, and it could be 50 to 85 million dollars. Let's be honest, a person of Brooks's caliber, with coming back to the PGA and getting his he never really lost the endorsement deals the way that some other guys did. More of that is going to come back to him because of who he is. He's going to get the endorsement deals. He's going to get the money somewhere else to make up for that equity sharing that's not going to happen. So I don't think this isn't about the money for him anymore. This is about getting back to the golf that he enjoys playing.
That's a great point. I think he saw an opportunity to help himself get money. He went over there for the money.
Yep.
And he admits that he went over there because he saw an opportunity to help himself develop and get back to the form that he liked. And now he sees an opportunity to come back. He was also one of those players, and there's a few on Live. Like, I don't bash Live and the players that went over for the most part. There are some that I do bash and think ruined the game in a way. He's not one of those. He went over, he played on Live, he did his thing over there. He didn't bash the PGA Tour. He wasn't over there saying all of these things all of the time. Now, at times he was saying things where he's really promoting Live and kind of going against the PGA Tour, but he wasn't outward about bashing them. Whereas like a Phil Mickelson was bashing the tour, was saying they're doing things wrong and this is the better way.
Yeah.
And this is about this. Whereas he didn't. I don't think Brooks Koepka overly bashed the tour at all. I don't think Bryson DeChambeau bashed the tour. I don't think Jon Rahm bashed the tour. I think Jon Rahm once again saw the money and went over there and has been very successful over there. Of the four of them, of the four of these people that are eligible for this, I think Rahm has been the most successful on Live from the team aspect. I think he enjoys kind of that. That's why he has said he's not coming back on this exemption.
Well, Brooks was the only 5-time winner on Live. Yes, that I actually do know that stat.
And that's the thing. He was successful over there.
Yes.
And I would go back to their whole championship thing. You have someone like Joaquin Niemann who won 4 times last year on Live. Rahm won never and was the player of the year because he was the most top tens in their scoring system. He just happened to be the best player overall, just never got a win on tour out there. Was exciting to watch, I will say, here in Westfield, Indiana. Their final event at Chatham Hills was exciting to watch, to see him win, but he lost in a playoff. Yeah. But I think I think that's why he's staying over there, because he has created the team over there, created this aspect. I don't feel like Brooks Koepka ever felt like a team or part of Live. and PGA is more his home.
More his thing. And, we could talk about there's certain players on the PGA that have been player of the year in that standing that, like, really? You're getting this money, but that's a whole different crashing the car into a fire hydrant set of stories.
So, Dave, let me ask you this question. What does this now, so let's say a lot that have come out that the other 3 players that are eligible for this exemption are kind of saying that they're not going to take it. Now, it's not official until we passed February 2nd that they don't take it, because Rahm said he'd never go to LIV and then went to LIV. So who knows what's going to happen. But just having Brooks be able to transition back over, what do you think this means for the future, A, of LIV, and B, does this set, it's not going to set a precedent, they've said, but does this open the door and change the avenue for players to kind of jump back and forth now?
You look at it, the NCAA is going through a lot of issues right now. Our beloved college basketball, with people that have signed NBA contracts and now coming back to play college basketball, or
NIL has a lot to do with that one.
And NIL's got a lot to do with it. We're in, and now, college is just as much of a professional aspect as professional sports are anymore. One of our all-time favorite movies in basketball, where did Shaq make all of his money? In college.
College.
We all know that. So it's a fine line to walk between, LIV and the PGA. And I think there's yet to be a middle ground with everything. We thought between Yassiers and Monahan, when they were meeting in secret and this, that, and the other, we thought that maybe something was going to get done. I really just think that it's not going to happen anymore, and we're going to have 2 very distinct entities, moving forward, which isn't bad for the game of golf. More golf is always good golf.
That's also true.
And it just has to be the pettiness between the 2 of them. Just go out and play golf, guys. It's a simple concept. Go play golf.
And I think that pettiness has started to subside. But Dave, since you brought this up with NCAA, we have a partner and we need to pay some bills. So let's pay some bills with our partnership with the NCAA and Desert Fox Golf.
Ready to take your game to the next level? Desert Fox Golf's collegiate gear is growing fast, with over 25 universities and counting. Show off your favorite team on the course with the Phone Caddy and DJ10 speaker, built for easy access for every round. Perfect for students, alumni, and college sports fans looking to show off their school spirit. Gear up today at desertfoxgolf.com.
I mean, this Monday is the national championship for football, so get
Go
your
Big Ten.
Desert Fox gear out there. I mean, I don't know who is going to beat IU, so I'm going to say it. I am a Penn State alum and root for my Nittany Lions, but when they're not in it, and I live in the state of Indiana, I'm just going to say it. Hoosiers!
There you go.
Win the national championship. So, got to root for the Hoosiers in the state
throw
of
Bradley's
Indiana.
comment up there for a second.
So,
but I want to agree with you here. Second place. So it's a really interesting.
Wow! For those of you who don't know, Bradley came in second place in our fantasy football league. So that was just a jab at him.
Hey, I came in last, so it is what it is.
That's true. You did.
Bradley, it's, we're watching golf. You want to see the best play. We talk about all these events here where we love the non-signature events, the ones where not every, where the Scotties and the Rorys and the Gala and, these guys aren't showing up to play. And is that the best golf? Yeah, it is still the best golf, because these are the guys that are out there fighting, trying to create
It's true.
moments for themselves. And golf may not be 72 holes of the best of everybody. Sometimes it's one shot or one hole or somebody making a putt from 142 feet away to win a playoff and secure their national open. So those are the things that make golf the best. And it's not necessarily watching the top 25 every week. It's watching what makes these guys so much better than the three of us sitting here tonight.
Yeah, that's what I like both. I like having different things because I'm saying we have things like TGL. Big Ten football is dominant. Sorry about your Tigers. Enjoy Lane Kiffin. But
he'll leave in 2 years.
That's also true. He's the most unloyal person on college football. But what I will say is I like watching golf for the aspect of the storyline, for watching players grow and develop. Kind of like what you were saying there. These signature events, or the events that are having these up-and-coming players that haven't earned their way into the signature events, their storylines and winning. Like, I'm going to go with Chris Goddard. Watching him go to the 26th best player in the world last year was exciting to watch when he won the Scottish Open.
Yep.
And then have a chance to be on the Ryder Cup team. He just missed out. He wasn't picked, but I think he had a chance to be picked. And then he's playing in TGL too. There's all these avenues to watch great golf. I think LIV, you can watch great golf on LIV. But when we keep trying to say the best players are here, the best players are here, the best players are where they're playing the best golf. I think the PGA, their courses, they set up better and make it more difficult, so you're playing better golf. I feel LIV is more about entertainment and about that loudness. It's the waste management almost all year round is what they're trying to do. They even say their tagline is golf but louder. And it's not setting up for the best play. They were only playing 3 rounds. Now they're going to go to play 4. So they're trying to evolve, which I hope they do. But to your point, Dave, I think having both is just more golf. And if LIV becomes a better product, I think it'll be successful. But I also want to see the PGA be successful because that's the OG. That's what I want to watch. I want to watch that individual aspect of it. I want to watch people develop through the PGA Tour, through the Korn Ferry Tour, and see how they grow as golfers because that's fun. I don't want to see 52 people that are the same 52 people each week. I want to see that chance for a Cinderella story out there. That's why we like the NCAA tournament and that. So that's what I'm hoping for. But with that, I'm going to pay another bill here. And this episode is brought to you by Bridgestone Golf and Mindset Technology, designed to help you focus on the shot, not the swing. With simple cues like visualize, focus, and react, you'll swing freer and play more confident golf. Change your mindset with Bridgestone Golf. And I will say, this golf ball, get yourself some Bridgestone mindsets in either the E-Series or the Tour Series, and they have new ones coming out that we will start previewing over the next few weeks at the PGA Tour. We are excited to partner with Bridgestone, so make sure you are checking out Bridgestone Golf. And like I said, Chris Goddard used Bridgestone Golf to win the Scottish Open, so it obviously works.
Yeah, and if you missed our show the other week when Steve and I made some year-long picks, I took him to win the Open.
So, I like that. So I missed out on that. I was watching the Pacers' last loss of the season because they're on a 3-game winning streak, those Indiana Pacers, and they're going to make a comeback right now, even though they have already lost 31 games this year.
All right. So,
Dave, we're talking about more golf. And
more golf.
We're talking about how Brooks is coming back to the PGA Tour. And more golf means TGL, which I think TGL has been so exciting and is growing and developing and is not trying to compete with other things. It's trying to be something that's different. So what do you think the chances are now that if Brooks comes back over, that he starts playing on a TGL team either this year, or do you think it's more likely that he comes in next year when Detroit is added as a city for a team in TGL?
I think it's going to be next year. I really do. They've already have their rosters and their subs set. I think he will make an appearance there to see the action, to see what's going on. Our friends over at ESPN are going to get him in the booth or on the TV somehow. because at the end of it, he's still Brooks Koepka, and he is a draw for everything. He is a very we all saw the picture of him. What was it after the Masters last year, where you caught a picture of him in a convenience store with a 12-pack of Busch Light. I say Busch Light just because I'm here in the Midwest. But
well, you kind of have to, otherwise people will revolt.
Yeah. But, there he was, because he missed the cut. And just like everybody else, he went to the convenience store and picked up a 12-pack of beer to watch the rest of everything going on. But he's just has that quality about him that you don't want to dislike the guy.
No, that's true. And I think that this is going to be a big shift for moving forward. You said that LIV needs to stop fighting with the PGA, and we've said that for since the beginning of the
but I
LIV
think
Tour.
The biggest part about that is the mouthpiece of LIV isn't the face of LIV Golf anymore, and that would be Greg Norman.
Yeah, I think that was a big change that I'm glad they made that shift of saying, hey, Norman, step aside, let us take this, and let's adjust. And they're making adjustments. Like I said before, they are going to a 4-day format now, not a 3-round format. So that's changing. They were promised world golf ranking points, which they still haven't gotten yet, but they're changing more towards that. I would like to see them more go towards the team aspect and not the individual aspect,
right?
Because that's what I like about TGL is that team aspect and the fun of also simulator golf and being in an arena, and the hammer. Everybody loves the hammer.
Everybody loves the hammer.
Still, we are protesting to make that an actual hammer you throw.
We have the intellectual IP for that. Let's make it happen. But tangent on TGL here. I think everybody should have their own individual hammer rather than just the captain, and let everybody decide on their own. I'm throwing the hammer here because this is what's best for me.
I disagree. I like that the captain has the hammer because we've all played team sports before, and someone has to make a decision. If you're just throwing hammers all willy-nilly,
why not?
I think that gets out of hand. I like your chaos theory, but I'm going to disagree with you there. But if you think that TGL should have as many hammers as possible for every player, side with Dave.
Well, they have 3 hammers total. There's 3 players. Everybody gets their own individual hammer.
Okay, I can give you that. Each person gets their own hammer with
everybody gets their own hammer. So rather than like I was the other week when Brooks took a timeout and ran over to the stage to see the team owner and said, hey, let's throw the hammer here. Make that decision, or Rory be able to throw his own hammer.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can look at both ways. But all right, so Dave, let's get into this because we talked about Brooks, we talked about all of this players and coming back and the effect that it's going to have. And one of the main things here is that everyone was always saying, oh, you're going to take away from an up-and-coming player. And we've been talking about up-and-coming players, and that's what we like to see. But this model actually will help up-and-coming players because he won't take someone's spot like a certain PGA Tour player did at the Sony Open this week in Vijay Singh. He will actually come in, and they will fill extra spots to even out the field. So he will actually bring other people and give more people an opportunity. What do you think about that aspect of this deal?
Well, I don't just want to put that on VJ. Tiger has a lifetime exemption to play in any given tournament that he wants. And they never said that they would add extra spots if Tiger ever wants to play in a tournament of his choosing anyway. So let's not, VJ's the bad guy as it is. We all have our issues with VJ, but yes.
I'm giving up a spot for Tiger. I'm not giving up a spot for VJ if I'm a player. That's my difference.
Potato.
Tiger.
Potato.
Okay, so, but back to this point.
Yes.
Do you think this was a very good decision by the PGA?
I think it was a fantastic decision. Yeah, Brooks, yes, he does. He have exemptions from his major win? Yes, he does. But having to play in to get into a signature event by winning a tournament, or being in those top 10. To do that, he can't just walk up to Torrey Pines and be like, well, I want to play this week. That's really not going to happen there. So them being able to not only allow him to come back, enter these tournaments, we all know that, get into these tournaments, but create 3 more spots for potentially 3 spots that would usually be alternate 1, 2, 3. Now 4, 5, 6 becomes alternate 1, 2, 3. So I think in the long way, about things, that gives more people better chance for better golf.
Yeah, and I think that helps players develop and get those opportunities. So I agree, Dave. I think this is a great thing. So, all right, last part of this that we really want to dive into here is the money. The money has always been the thing about this. The money's always about what this is about. But before we get into the money, let's talk about Cobra Golf. Upgrade your tee game with the new Cobra DS Adapt driver, fully adjustable, crazy fast, and built to dial in your perfect ball flight. Take control with Cobra DS Adapt. Visit cobragolf.com today. Dave, you have a Cobra driver. I have a Cobra driver. It's been a game changer, and it's almost like a cheat code.
It is a cheat code.
Fairways.
Yes. And mine is packed and ready to go down to Orlando. Coming up here. So, Steve, you're just confused.
He is very confused, and he's in Miami and doing a business trip. So
I touched on this a little bit earlier about the money, whereas I think somebody like Brooks, is going to make that money up in other aspects, whether is it endorsements, which is really where most of these guys make their money anyway, is all in endorsements. Coming back to the PGA full fold opens up a lot more endorsements to him now, because he is back in the fold, as compared to, we've said his name, like say Phil Mickelson, who doesn't have, he originally had a lifetime deal with Callaway. That went away,
dropped
with LIV Golf. So coming back, I think just because of the partnerships that the PGA has, where Brooks was in standing, what he's done with the Ryder Cup, he's for all that we know from what we've seen, he's a pretty easygoing, decent guy. I think those sponsorship dollars come back to him 2 to 3 fold, coming back onto this. The other part, with that is, you just don't know. It may not happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big thing. I will say, from sponsorships, we have a great sponsor and partner in Golfish. If you're looking for perfect golf attire that takes you from the marina to the golf course, make sure you check out golfish.com and use code GolfingDads to get a discount on your order. And it is the most comfortable golf attire out there. I wear this to work. I wear this on the course. You can wear it to a board meeting and then to 18 holes. It is an amazing, amazing brand. Make sure you are checking them out for some of the best golf gear out there. Now, what I will say is he is leaving a lot of money on the table here. And this shows, I think, the passion and commitment that he has to the PGA Tour. He has played on the PGA Tour. He has played on LIV. And now he wants to come home here. And he is willing to give up a lot of money to do so. And I think that says a lot. I think it says a lot about the reasons he went to LIV. I think it says a lot about where he sees LIV's future going as well, because he was a big name over there and was one of the first people to kind of jump ship and go over there. So the fact that now, after 3 years, because they're going into their 4th year, he says, I have an opportunity and the PGA is opening this window for me, that I'm going to take it because that's truly where I want to be, says a lot. Because like I said, he's giving up 5 years that could earn him up to $50 to $85 million in that equity share. Now, from what he got from LIV, I don't think he's going to be missing too much of this money. Like you said, from his sponsorships and where this will be in the future, he'll make this up and he'll help grow that equity so that 5 years from now, when he's been back 6 years, he'll have a chance to make even more money. And he's going to help
Yeah.
these players earn more, because I think people are going to watch this, because this is a storyline. This is something people are going to want to see, that, hey, he came back to LIV. I hope that he is successful. So, Dave, that's my next question to you. How successful do you think Brooks Koepka is going to be, not just this year, but maybe in the next year or two on the PGA
I think for him, we watched him kind of struggle this year in the majors a little bit. He didn't earn, the Ryder Cup this year went to Bryson. We didn't see Brooks, kind of play his best. And I think a lot of this may have been weighing on him. I think this is a very mental thing for Brooks coming back, to be very clear-headed. We all play golf. We're all head cases as it is anyway.
It's a mental game.
It's a mental game. But I think him coming back and fully embracing, I think last year maybe it was a struggle for him, to try and bounce back and forth between the two worlds, with coming to the majors and doing LIV. And but I think now that he can just focus just on the one entity, I think it's going to be a lot better. I expect at least one win out of him this year. I'll call it now. That could be this year.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, because he's not going to be in those signature events. He's going to be in those other events, scraping together points and, top 10 and top 5 finishes, just like everybody else that is out there that's not playing against Scotty and Rory and, Shane and Morikawa and all these guys. If they all take a week off and Brooks is the guy that is there, he becomes pretty much almost a marquee name that is going to be at these tournaments, which elevates that tournament already as it is. But I think he has a good shot of winning one of those tournaments where one of these guys doesn't show up at.
Okay, so here's a hot take from one of our viewers here. He thinks Brooks could win 2 majors in 2 years. Next FedEx Cup champ? I mean, part of this stipulation, I will say, the FedEx Cup, he cannot win the money for the FedEx Cup. But Dave, I agree with you.
But it's just
no, he can't. Part of the stipulation is he does not get the FedEx Cup money. Yeah, that's true. But what do you think about majors for Koepka? Do you think he gets one this year, or do you think that's a year away?
I think the next major he wins is the Masters.
Ooh.
But I don't know if I see it this year. I think the next major for him is the Masters that he wins. And whether that is this year or next year, I think the Masters is next on his list of what he accomplishes. The grouping that I want to see this year in a major, I want to see Brooks and Bryson, or Brooks and John, or Brooks and Cam walking down the fairway together.
That would be. So let's take,
because that is going to be the opposite of Jim Nantz doing Jim Nantz stuff at the Masters if it's Brooks walking with somebody else.
So I kind of want to see it at the U.S. Open, and here's why. If you have Bryson and Brooks in the final pairing of the U.S. Open, you have 2 former U.S. Open champions, both who have been on LIV and the PGA Tour, one now back. That could be an interesting storyline to see. So
that's an interesting storyline. Yeah,
I think that having that would be a very interesting storyline. Whether it's the Open, which is where I'd want to see it, but I mean, I kind of want to see it at the Masters for Jim Nantz. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I love Jim
Nantz.
But
yeah, I would give Brooks his next major, because he's going to win another major.
Okay, I think so too.
I think it's going to be the Masters.
Okay. Do you think that we're going to have another shot at a Grand Slam this year? And
I got to see how healthy Jordan is. I got to see how healthy he comes back from surgery to see if he can.
I'm saying with Scotty, we have a chance to get it this year. too. Scotty in the U.S. Open is a chance.
I still think Jordan gets it before Scotty.
Oh, there's a hot take for you. So, all right. Now, we've kind of talked about this. We talked about Brooks coming back. So let us know what you think in the comments on Brooks Koepka's return. And we're going to talk about this more moving on. But now we are back in full swing of the PGA Tour. And we've changed things up a little bit, but we still want to know what Dave thinks with odds. We're still going to do our picks this year. And we are back to doing picks this year. And the Sony Open is this week. So it's time to make some picks. I have our third counterpart's pick in case one of us actually picks them. But Dave, do we want to let him pick first? Or what's our ruling on this as our picks
forget
commission?
Hold on, let me bring it up. I forget where we all finished last year.
Okay, let's bring up the picks from last year. I think whoever finished last year should pick first.
Right. Let me load this up here. But it's I think the Sony Open. We all missed. Let's be honest. We all missed Kapalua last week.
We did. That was it was a sad. Sad
a sad entity. For that we all missed that. It is a fantastic course. But getting kicked off here because this is the week that the three of us normally forget to make our picks because we're all tied up with the PGA show and getting that ready. But Greg, I got one while I'm loading this up here. I have one question for you while we're still on this whole Brooks coming back to. I want to talk Bryson for a second here. And Bryson's social media input.
Yes.
And how much do you think that figures into his decision in trying to come back to, because the PGA kind of wants to control the message for everything, and Bryson kind of wants to do his own thing, and he has his YouTube channel, he has all this. We all got sucked into his hole-in-one over the house challenge, going through all that. So how do you think something like what Bryson does for social media impacts his decision on what he wanted to do?
I think it's actually the biggest impact here. I think that Bryson really needs to control his social media aspect. I think that's a big thing for him because he does a lot with it and he's great with it. I think it's entertaining. I think it has changed his persona. I think he felt like he needed to be a heel or a villain when he was on the PGA Tour, and he has even said that. But when he has gotten the freedom to kind of be himself, I think that it's changed him. I think it has changed him for the better. I think the PGA really needs to look into, hey, maybe we want to let them have their own social media rights, because I think the whole legal aspect gets into that when if they do something wrong or say something wrong, that could blow back on the tour in the wrong way. Whereas if you let them control their own, you can kind of manage that a little bit better. So yeah. I don't think the PGA Tour is ready to give that up. And I kind of think that's why Bryson might not come back right away. But I hope they reconsider that, because I think letting these players have their social media aspect and be their personalities could benefit the tour. I think it's a good thing. I think it's where golf is going. I think social media golf, and I'm not just saying this because we do social media golf broadcasting. And if you're looking for social media broadcasting, check out the Golfing Dads, because we love doing this and it's a lot of fun for us. And we love talking golf. Do what you love. That's what it is. So that's where I really think this is going. And I think that that's going to be a big factor that the PGA really has to consider in the future.
And that's kind of where I was going with it. And, I think that's a big part of who Bryson, more so than anybody else, is he has embraced this. So, we've seen him out there playing with Big JD. We've all got sucked into his hole-in-one over the house challenge or his ping pong ball in the cup challenge. It's why we like Bryson. It's what he's out there, what he's doing. So
he's having fun with the sport.
Yeah. Now, getting back to what we all came here for tonight and Odds with Dave.
Well, before we get into Odds with Dave, let's just give one more shout out to our sponsor, Nikon, and dial in every shot with Nikon Golf Rangefinder. Fast, clear, deadly accurate, so you know the number every time. Elevate your game with Nikon Precision, the official rangefinder of the LPGA Tour and the Golfing Dads. This is another game changer out there. If you're looking to get those accurate yardages and a crystal clear picture, check out NikonGolf.com.
More accurate than Odds with Dave.
That's true. All right,
Yeah.
Dave.
So, Greg,
last season,
last year you finished third.
I was terrible last year, and I'm hoping to turn that around this year.
You finished with 181 total points.
That's impressive considering how I started, because I had a good comeback at the end of the season.
You started off in like negative numbers. I finished at 221. Steve was our grand winner at 227.
Okay.
So,
All right. So I think I go, you go, Steve goes to start off this year. How does that sound?
that sounds worked for me.
Okay.
So this year, the Sony Open, Russell Henley leading things off at 11-1. Hideki and Ben Griffith at 17. JJ Spawn at 18. Siwoo, Robert McIntyre, and Colin Morikawa at 20. Keegan Bradley at 22. Corey Connors at 25. Maverick McNeely at 28. And then you kind of start dropping off. Harry Hall at 35. Chris Kirk at 40. Nick Taylor at 40. Adam Scott at 40. So you kind of start dropping off after that. So, Greg, lay it on me.
Nick Taylor is your reigning champ of the Sony Open.
Yes, he is.
What is Chris? Give me Chris Gotterup's odds.
50-1.
Okay. So that's who I'm going with at the Sony Open, because I think he's been playing on TGL, getting a little bit of swings in. He didn't do so well in Tiger's tournament, but I think he's getting his game back into form. He's got that Bridgestone mindset. Give me Chris Gotterup for the Sony Open as my opening pick this year. I hope my New Jersey brethren turns this around for me this year. No pressure, Chris.
You want to know who you took last year? Keegan.
Who is Dave taking this year?
Dave is going to take the same person he took last year.
Ooh.
I'm taking Hideki.
I think that's an interesting pick, because I almost picked Hideki. I almost took that as my pick. I also looked at Colin Morikawa as an option, but I want to see more out of Colin this year. So Hideki as a past winner out here, I think in Hawaii, I think is a good pick.
It was between him and Ben Griffith.
Well, if you would have taken Ben Griffith, you would have taken Steve's pick from him, because that is who Steve is going with.
Yeah.
He told me that earlier today. So I think that was a decent pick out there. So we'll see what happens. Let's kick off this season. We're going to kick off the PGA show next week. We got a lot of great content that's going to be coming over the next month or so from the PGA show. Check
Greg,
us out live.
I got one question for you.
Okay.
Involves in the PGA show. How are you going to do demo day when it's not in the rain this year, according to the weather?
Don't jinx us. And it's going to be so much better to do demo day. We're going to be out there. We're going to be with Upswing Golf, some of our favorite kids clubs out there. We're going to be doing a lot of different things. There's going to be some driving contests. So if you're at the PGA show, make sure you check us out. Try to find us at the PGA show at demo day. We're going to be doing a lot of content out there. We're going to be talking to a lot of things. We're going to help promote women in golf. We want to show stories from women golfers out there and help promote that game, because we think that's another bright future in the sport of golf. We are live on Wednesday at 1:30, I believe. Check out our social media for that. We will have updates. We will have so much content. Dave, you will be playing golf in your
I'll
tournament
be playing
that you
golf
play in every year. So have fun in the Hawkeye Cup. But Steve and I
won't talk about what my handicap is going into that.
We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to do odds with Dave for the Hawkeye Cup. But make sure you're checking us out on all of our social media platforms. Like, subscribe. Help us out if you like this content. If you want to see more, make sure you're reaching out. We love doing this, and we love hearing from you all. So cheers, everybody.
Until next time, we'll see you soon.
I'm really fortunate, man. I mean, having the opportunity to build something that's
And remember, folks, use code GolfingDads to get 15% off your order at Desert Fox Golf. Also use code GolfingDads to get 15% off your order at golfish.com. Use code GolfingDads to get 20% off your order at Jacket Sunscreen. And use the Golfing Dads Tavern to get 5% off your order at FlightScope.